Hi guys, I'm Martin. I've been a relationship coach for 17 years, and today I'm going to talk about the top 5 relationship mistakes that I've seen guys make in all this time that I've been working with guys from all over the world.
Okay, and number 1 you said to me is letting the girl run the relationship.
Right. So a lot of guys, they let the girl run the relationship because it's just easier, right? If they just like leave it up to the girl, and oftentimes girls are very proactive in doing, setting things up. But it's really not a good idea, because what women want is not going to make you happy, in the same way that what you want isn't going to make her happy. So if relationships were run 100% the way guys wanted them to be, then they would look like porn movies. And if relationships were run 100% the way women wanted, it would look like The Notebook or one of these other romance movies. So in both of these, one person is going to be miserable. So there needs to be a compromise. Now, that's the reason. So now what happens though is that things tend to go more in the direction of what women want. And the reason why they tend to go more in the direction of what women want is because society supports what women want more. So no one thinks a good relationship looks like a porn movie. So when I say no one, I mean society doesn't think that. I know plenty of guys who think that. But society doesn't think that. So when you try to get the girl to do things that you want her to do, a lot of times there's going to be a lot of pushback. I was with my sister one time, and with the girl I was dating. And the girl I was dating was wearing heels. And my sister said, "Oh, you don't need to get all dressed up for me." I looked at my sister. I was thinking, what is this crazy woman doing? What is she talking about? I was like, she needs to get dressed up. And it's not for you. What are you talking about? But the fact is that society doesn't support that. There's this whole idea that, women should be able to do whatever they want and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, they can do whatever they want. But if they're going to be with you, then they're going to have to do things that make you happy. In the same way that if you are going to be with her, you have to do things that make her happy. It goes both ways. Okay, so what most guys do is they leave it up to the woman, and then it ends up with a lot of the things that she wants and that are important to her happening, but not so many of the things that you want and are important to you happening. And what's also interesting about this is that a lot of the things that are important to a woman are public things. They're seen out in the world. And so when you take her to nice places and you take her to do things, and these are things that you can talk about. On the other hand, a lot of the stuff that guys really like to get from a woman are not public. And I'm not just talking about sex, although that's definitely one of the key things. It's also things like things around how you spend your private time together. A lot of times for guys, they go out, they work, and work is stressful. It's like girl time is relaxed time, or guys want girl time to be relaxed time is a more accurate way to say it. Okay, it's like when you're with your girl, most of the guys, they want that to be their time to like chill out, relax, recover from everything that's going on in their life. It's like, when everyone talks about a safe space, I think that's what guys want when they're with their woman. They want that to be a safe space. And that's a very private thing. And so because it's private, it's not emphasized. So if you let her run the relationship, then that tends to be deprioritized. Interestingly, there's something called bed death in lesbian relationships. Bed death is that there's no sex happening. And there's no sex happening because there's no one initiating. Now, they may move in together soon after the first date and move things really along very fast, and they can feel like they're really emotionally close. But because that's what women want. And I was reading about this in a book called Self-Made Man. It was about a woman who was a lesbian, or is a lesbian. I assume she's still alive. And she decided to pass herself off as a man full time in several different situations. And because she wanted to see what it was like to be a man, because she heard, oh, being a man is so great. It's so great to be a man. And so she was talking about how what she thought it was going to be like as a man was very different than what it was actually like. And so she talked about this thing about bed death, and she was talking about how she was trying to do online dating. And well, she also tried approaching women at bars and clubs. And she was talking about how shocking it was for her to do that and see, how much power women have in that dynamic relative to men. And she talked about how when she communicated with women online, women were so excited about the depth of the communication and the emotional closeness they felt with her, which for her was easy to do because she's a woman. And that's what women, mostly are, a big part of what they value in their relationships. And so that's why it's really important that you not be lazy and let the woman run the relationship, because it'll go in directions that you are not happy with. Not because your woman is bad or because she's trying to ruin the relationship. It's just because she's different than you are, and her ideas about what's good and yours are not the same. So that's a big mistake that guys make. And I think they mostly make it out of laziness. They just want, as I was saying, they want their relationship to be kind of a safe space where they can just unplug. And that's not, how relationships are if they're going to be really functional. My mom used to say, marriage is the hardest job you'll ever love. And so you see, there's this combination of it being very difficult and very challenging, but it also being so rewarding. So you may want to be lazy about it, but don't be lazy about it, because if you're lazy about it, you're not going to get enough out of it. You're not going to get enough out of it for it to be worth it.
And number 2 is choosing a girl that likes them.
Yeah. Okay. So many guys in the advice field, in the manosphere, in the men's movements, whatever you want to call them, they advise you to choose a girl who likes you. They say, oh, find a girl that likes you. I get so frustrated with this advice, because if you meet a girl and she really likes you from the very beginning, what that tells you is her other options are way worse than you. Her other options are so not good that when she sees you, she immediately knows that you're an upgrade. Now, maybe the girl really matches what you like, and then it's fine. Okay, if you're really into her, also fine. But the way that I think about it, the way dating generally should work is, guy meets girl. You of course, as a guy, you want to bang her because you look at her, you go, she's hot. Definitely want to bang her. Okay, that's just normal. That's how you should feel. Okay, and then she looks at you and she goes, I don't know about this guy, right? That's how it should be in the beginning. I don't know about this guy. Maybe he's good. Maybe he hasn't done anything for me to want to get rid of him yet. Okay, so you talk to her a little bit, and the first time you meet, then you exchange contact information, you have some text exchanges, you go out together, and then she's thinking, this guy's not so bad. Yeah, maybe. Give her a good time, maybe you have another date, maybe there's sex, whatever, but she's still thinking, I don't know about this guy. He seems all right. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time with him. And then after she's been with you for maybe 2 or 3 months, then she goes, this guy is really good. Because for women, when they evaluate a guy, the criteria that are important to them are not so obvious. And so if a girl likes you from the very beginning, that just means it just means you're way better than the other guys that she has access to for some reason.
But why is that bad?
It's not necessarily bad, but generally what that means is that if you're... Okay, it's not necessarily bad, because there could be like a mismatch. All right, let's use guys who first come to Asia. A lot of times guys, when they first come to Japan or Korea, especially China. They first go there and, you know, they don't speak the local language at all. They show up at, you know, a bar or a language exchange, or they match with a girl on Tinder. I guess maybe people don't do language exchanges anymore. That just shows you that I've been at this for a long time. They match with a girl on Tinder. The girl speaks perfect English. Okay, so she's, you know, 26 or 27, and she speaks perfect English, and she's Korean or Japanese. Now, if she was Chinese, okay, maybe her parents sent her to study abroad. That's very common. If she's Korean, very unlikely. And if she's Japanese, very, very unlikely. So how did this girl learn the language? Well, presumably she either dated a bunch of Western guys, or maybe she lived overseas for a while. Now, when you meet her, you're just arrived, so there's this immediate connection between you and her because she's easy to get along with because she speaks the language really well and you don't know things that well and she's maybe been to your country, so there's this immediate automatic connection. But that girl why is she dating a foreigner? Or, well, let me back it up. Does she date foreigners exclusively? Because if she dates foreigners exclusively, a lot of people will assume, oh, well, that's because the local guys are bad. That is not true. All Japanese guys are not bad. She may not be able to get a good Japanese guy. Now there you go. Now that could be the issue, right? She can't get herself a good Japanese guy. Or she can't get herself a good Korean guy. So she only dates foreigners because foreigners think she's really great. So what you have here is you have a girl who in her society is not valued very highly, but because you don't know about her society and because you have just come from another place and maybe you haven't been able to find someone that you connect with or is easy for you to get along with, you think she's fantastic. But the fact that she's not desirable in her own culture is definitely a red flag in my opinion. And I don't generally think in terms of red flags, but to me that is a definite red flag. And so that can be a girl that really likes you from the very beginning. Now you could say, okay, when I first got to Japan, you know, I was having a hard time dating there. And I met this black guy and I said, look man, you know, I'm having a real tough time with these girls. And he looked at me and he said, oh, you know, we'll get you some hip hop clothes, you'll be all right. That was his advice. And I was thinking, okay, so basically what you're telling me is that I don't match the stereotype of a black guy, and because I don't match the stereotype of a black guy, girls don't really like me. Okay, so that's the kind of girls that really like me. Girls that want to date a stereotypical black American man. That is not good, in my opinion. And then you go to the club. He said, okay, we'll take you to Sunsplash. That was the name of this club. You go to Sunsplash. And it's all these big Japanese girls on African dudes. African dudes wearing hip hop clothes. Okay. Now, this is maybe an extreme case, but let me tell you, I was like, okay, this is not the way for me. And I can tell you, I've had situations like that. I met girls, took them on dates, I brought them home, and girls were looking around and like, you had a lot of books. Do you watch basketball? And I'm like, okay, so when it comes to girls who like you, a lot of times, how can they really like you? They don't know you. See, as a guy, you can really like a girl because you see that body and you want it. And, you know, most girls are relatively friendly, you know, smiley. So, you know, it's not surprising. You meet a girl, you have a little interaction with her, you think, wow, it looks fantastic. Yeah, you want her. That's normal as a guy. But as a girl, girls don't generally work like that. They need to get to know who you are as a person before they can be interested. And so if a girl just likes you from the beginning, it's kind of like a too good to be true kind of situation where, you know, you should wonder about that. You know, it's kind of like it's kind of like if you match with a girl on Tinder, you're like, man, this girl's super fine. And then she starts texting you a lot and you're like, wow, she's really into it. And then she's like, and then she says something like, she's like, oh, do you want me to send you like a bikini picture? Then you got to wonder, wait a minute, what's going on here? Is this a ladyboy? Because that is not how girls behave. Girls don't act like that. They don't try to push the sexual stuff as a general rule. So something's up. Now, they may not be a ladyboy. They could be a girl who's looking to get some money. That's another common way that, girls will sort of push things, is to go that way. But the point is that it's just not natural for a girl to like you, because the way that girls are interested in people isn't so superficial. I mean, yeah, if you're like amazingly hot, you're super attractive, and you have a lot of social proof. Social proof meaning like if you're a DJ, right? You're the center of attention. People think highly of you automatically. Yeah, okay, a girl can be really into you because she's impressed with your art and, your skill, your talents, things like that. But from that, because she already knows you. She knows a lot about you because she can get a lot of information from the environment about you. Okay, so that's a unique situation. But if you're a normal guy and she just meets you kind of randomly, why should she like you so much? It's weird. Okay. So that's what I would say about that.
And the third mistake you said is reverse magic show.
Yeah, the reverse magic show. This is a big one. I talk about it in another video. But basically, the reverse magic show is when you put a lot of effort into creating great experiences for her in the beginning of the relationship, in terms of like the amount of time you spend on good dates. Maybe you spend a lot of time, you call her and you have long phone conversations. Maybe you text her a lot and always immediately, things like that. You're just giving so much attention to her very obviously in the very beginning at a level that isn't sustainable long term. And so it's like in the beginning, it's like the magician, comes in and he's juggling and he's, juggling like 2 babies and a lion or something. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. He's juggling 2 babies and a lion. And then he starts with that. And then later on, he's juggling 2 balls. It's like, it's not interesting. You're going to lose interest because he started off with the most amazing thing and now it's worse. And when guys do that, what girls think is, they don't think, oh, this guy is lame. If they thought that, it'd be a lot easier. What they normally think is they either think you lied to them in the sense that, you created an image of your life for them that was fake just to trick them into bed. That is one possibility, but it's the less common one. The more common one is that they feel that you don't like them as much as you did before. So they think, oh, he used to like me so much. He used to be so interested in me. He used to call me every day. We used to talk on the phone for hours. We used to, he used to take me to all these nice places, and now he just invites me over to his house. And, we just watch movies. Like, what happened? And so this is the reverse magic show. And then when that happens, the girl starts to feel like you don't like her, and then she starts to try and act out in various ways. And actually there's something, it's called The Passion Trap. There was a book called The Passion Trap that talks about this dynamic. And it says that, because what happens in the beginning of the relationship is, as a guy, you want the girl and she's not sure about you. As she gets to know you, she should really want to be with you. Not to say she would want to be with you more than you want to be with her, but what happens is that now that she's into you, you generally don't have to be putting in your best effort all the time anymore, right? In the beginning, she's looking for reasons to eliminate you. Now that she realizes you're a guy she wants to be with, she's not trying to eliminate you. She's hoping the relationship works because she's already invested now into it. So she's hoping the relationship works. And so she's thinking, oh, he doesn't like me as much as before. And she's going to try and do things to get back to the way things were. And a lot of times those things can be annoying, right? Like she's calling you when you're trying to get your gym workout in, or she comes by to surprise you when you're, I'm not saying you're cheating. I'm just saying you need a day alone for whatever reason. And and she comes over and she's trying to be nice. It's not that she's trying to do anything bad. It's just that those things can be annoying because you're trying to live your life in a certain way, and she doesn't know that because you didn't present your life that way to her in the beginning. Okay, so now what happens is, and the passion trap is that you have one person who's more interested or more invested into the relationship than the other person. And they feel that the other person isn't. So then they try to do things to get this person more interested, get more attention from this person. And then this person feels this is annoying, and so they try and create more space. And so then this person chases more, and then this person tries to create more space, and it's like this. And that's why it's called the passion trap. Now, there are many ways to manage that, and I'll talk about that in another video. Actually, there's most guys, they don't manage this very well. They just feel it's annoying and they try and do what I was talking about, where they create more space instead of doing what they should do, which is give her compliance hoops to jump through. Which I know sounds anyway, but I'll explain in another video. Okay, what else we got?
So the next one is trash sex.
Ah, yes. This is a hard one for me to understand, but it's definitely true that most guys are bad at sex. Now, a lot of times girls don't care. Like, okay, one time there was a girl that I had sex with, and she was like, "Wow, that was the best sex I ever had from a technical perspective." And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, well, when you're with someone and you love them, it's different, but from a technical perspective, this was the best sex I've ever had. And that's a really big difference, I think, between, men and women. I mean, for women, the emotional underpinnings the emotional underpinnings of the sex affect how they feel about the sex. So they can enjoy bad sex with a guy that they're really into. Whereas for guys, it doesn't really matter. I mean, yes, if you really love the girl that you're with, maybe the sex has a certain, specialness to it. But, if she's using a lot of teeth on that blowjob, it doesn't matter how much you love her. You're not going to be happy about that. So, so for guys, it's a little bit different. But the thing is that typically for guys, sex is more important in the relationship than it is for women. Guys have a higher sex drive on average. So in general, it's more important. And so it's very common that guys feel that there's not enough sex in the relationship. Now that's made worse if you aren't giving her good sex in the first place. Because one of the things that you want to have in your relationship is that when you want to have sex, most of the time your girl will be okay with it. It doesn't mean she always wants to have sex with you. It's just not going to be that way. I mean, it depends how into sex you are. Because like I have some clients, their sex twice a week is enough for them. I don't understand that myself, but for some people, that's enough. I mean, what he says? He says, the mind is willing, but the flesh is weak. That's what he says about his ability to have sex more than twice a week with his girl. And his girl is fine. So, if it was me, it'd be every day, almost for sure. Like, maybe a day off here and there, but that's how I am. So there are some variants here. But because for me, I want it to be a case where though the girl may not really want to have sex, she knows that it's going to be a good experience. So because she knows it's going to be a good experience, she will be more willing to have sex with me, even if it's not really when she wants to, right? Because those are two different things. Even for you as a guy, I'm sure there are times when your girl wants to have sex with you when you don't really want to have sex with her. If you've been with her for, a while, you don't really want to have sex with her at that moment or at that time. But, then you're like, well, but it's sex. Okay, sure. I'll do it. So, that's kind of what you want for the girl to also. But if you're not giving her good sex, then she's not. She needs to be in more of a particular mental state to be able to enjoy it. So get your technicals down so that in her mind, when she imagines sex with you, she just thinks of it being good. And let me tell you, the bar is not that high. You ask most girls, if you ask a girl, most girls, if you have sex with 10 guys, how many of them are going to be good? Girls will generally say 2 of them will be good. She'll say 2 will be good, then like 3 are okay, and then the other 5 are no good. So the bar is not really that high. So this is another thing. This is one of the easiest ways that you can be better than other guys in an obvious way, right? Like, most guys, they think, okay, well, I'm going to focus on making money, or they're going to focus on getting bigger muscles at the gym. There are so many guys out there with way more money than you who are working way harder than you are, and there are so many guys with way bigger muscle than you who are working way harder than you will work at the gym. But there are very few guys that are working harder than you in the bedroom. I can guarantee you that. Most guys, I don't know what they're doing, but it's not very much. So that's an easy win. So you can have girls who, maybe they don't want to date you. They don't think you're a good long-term prospect. But they also want to get laid while they look for a long-term prospect. And if your sex game is good, you can be their guy that they keep seeing, so that when they, until they do find that guy they want to have that long-term relationship with. So, a little bonus on that too. If you're going to be the side guy, that's what's going to let you be the side guy. You gotta be good in bed. It's interesting, because. So I've been teaching the sex seminar for a long time, and I tell guys it's 16 to 20 hours, and people are stunned that there can be so much to talk about. But yeah, 16 to 20 hours talking about sex, definitely. Okay.
And the last one is not taking notes.
Yeah. Girls say lots of stuff. I think all guys can agree that girls say lots of stuff, and if you remember that stuff later, that makes them feel that you really were paying attention to them. And if you know that stuff, you can surprise them in little ways that are easy to do, that make them feel very special. It's very hard to remember those things. So take notes. Especially, it can be especially valuable to take notes early in the relationship, before you're dating, when you've just been on 1 or 2 dates with her. Because in the beginning, you often get a lot of information, here's an example. Like, I often will ask girls, like, oh, who are your best friends? I don't think most guys ask this question, but I often ask, who are your best friends, right? Because the reason I'm asking is because I want to know who are the people that are going to be in her life that are going to be influencing her. Who is she going to be talking to about me and what I'm doing? All right, so these are the friends. So you should know their names, because when you meet her and you say, oh, how is, such and such? She's going to feel like, oh, wow, he's really paying attention. Okay, so, things like that. Things she likes, things she cares about. If you know her favorite cupcake shop, and you write that down, and one day you bring her cupcakes, from there she's gonna, oh, how did you know? She's gonna think that it was magic, but it wasn't. It was just you paying attention and taking a note. And then, of course, when you play it off, you go, oh yeah, I just thought, this is your favorite, right? And she's gonna go, how did you know? You go, Don't tell her you took notes. Don't tell her. Just say, like, you mentioned it one time and I just remembered. And she's going to go, oh, wow. And this is the thing to understand, is that, so many guys these days in the advice space, they're focused on these big things. They think you got to jump through hoops of fire for women. And it's like, if you do these little things, you get these little things right. It's so easy if you just get these little things right. So just pay attention. Take notes, put them somewhere, you can put them in your Evernote or in your Notion or, one of these things, your OneNote, if you use OneNote, and put it in there. And that way, you can find easy ways to delight your woman in ways that are just going to be really unexpected.
Cool. That's it. So.
All right, like and subscribe. If you got some questions or comments, leave them below. You know, I know I make a lot of jokes. I hope no one's offended. You know, it's tough these days. People get offended so easily, but, you know, especially out on the internet. But hey, that's me. I like my jokes, and I'm toning them down for you guys. That's the truth. Okay, I'll see you next time.